government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
We are already turning the tide on ammunition. Until recently, Russia was producing more ammunition than all NATO allies put together. But not anymore. Across the alliance, we are now opening dozens of new production lines and expanding existing ones. We are making more than we have done in decades. And Russia is not alone in its efforts to undermine the global rules. As you know, it is working with China, with North Korea, with Iran and others. They are increasing their defense industrial collaboration to unprecedented levels. They are preparing for long-term confrontation. We cannot be naive. We must be prepared. President Roosevelt famously said that powerful enemies must be outfought and outproduced. And that was in 1942. And the same can be said today. Russia's unprovoked war against Ukraine is the most obvious example of the threat. But the danger posed by Russia will not end when this war does. For the foreseeable future, Russia will remain a destabilizing force in Europe and the world.
Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Thousands and thousands of Christians are being killed. Radical Islamists are responsible for this mass slaughter. I am hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concern. That's a legal definition. When the Christians or any such group is slaughtered, like is happening in Nigeria, 3,100 versus 4,476 worldwide. What horrible numbers. Something has to be done. I am asking Congressman Riley Moore, together with Chairman Tom Cole and the House Appropriations Committee, to immediately look into this matter and to report back to me. And I mean, like, immediately. The United States cannot stand by while such atrocities are happening in Nigeria and numerous other countries. It's not only Nigeria, it's all over. We stand ready, willing, and able to save our great Christian population around the world. This is not going to happen. The killing of Christians is not going to happen. Miami will soon be the refuge for those fleeing communism in New York City. They flee. They flee. Where do you live? New York City, but I'm trying to leave because I don't want to live in a communist regime.
Welcome back to the SCIF. Glad to have you today on this Thursday, November 6th. Thanks for joining us. Want to say hello to the crew. You're cleared hot in the chat. Always great to see the engagement get going well before the show starts. We see it all on X, on Rumble, and everything. It feeds into our scan here, so thank you for that. Check out whatfinger.com, great aggregator site. Send them some traffic. They post a lot of our content, and we appreciate that. We're going to be down in Austin, Texas over the next several days at the Children's Health Defense Conference on vaccines and really MAHA and everything above, how to protect children, how to get rid of the corruption in our medical system. Going to be a lot of great speakers. We'll be transmitting live there from on Saturday, so stay tuned for that. If you're in the area, come by and say hello. I'll be at the conference, walking around and reporting and doing interviews, so please join us. Our logo is going to be on all the materials, the programs, and on the slideshows. So thank you again for CHD, great partner with us on bringing health to the American people. We really, really, really appreciate that. And you saw in the cold open, well, let me just say, today's focus is on reality and the reality of what's going on in our world. And you saw Mark Rutte, the head of NATO, more war, more ammunition. Russia's going to take over the world, blah, blah, blah. You saw the Ukrainian drone strikes on Russian oil facilities. That's continuing, but they're losing on the ground in Donbass. And, we're not pro-Ukrainian or pro-Russian. We're pro-humanity. We want the killing to stop. We think that Ukraine, from our sources, is losing 8,000 to 9,000 men a week. And we have been one of the big voices, most loud voices to end the Ukraine war, literally since 2014 when I started writing about it. So we have a lot of street cred on the subject. You can find us all over the internet talking about this, going back years, a decade actually. And so we're going to continue because we want the war to end. There's no good, they say like nothing good happens in a bar after 12. Well, nothing good happens in Ukraine as this war progresses. There's no good end. There's no winning. It's only more death, more control, more surveillance, and empowering the evildoers in this world for whatever their end agenda is. We kind of have some suggestions in our mind as to what we think their agendas are, but it's still pretty opaque. So we're going to continue to talk about that. And you saw President Trump, talking about all the wars as well. Nigeria, what's the agenda behind that? He's focusing on Nigeria, but they're not focusing on the Christian state in the Middle East, which is Lebanon, which they're continuing to help be destroyed by the Sunni Islamists in Turkey, etc. So, it's really a bizarre world, and we're trying to make you help you make sense of it. We are just trying to provide information. You can make your own choices, and you'll be the smartest in the room, smartest at the water cooler, as we say. So, in our quest to bring you reality today, we have Alex from Kyiv. He's been one of our sources for a long time. I think you'll enjoy him. It's not his real name, but he'll be on audio only coming at the second segment. So stay tuned for that. Bill Quinn is going to talk about the elections that happened a couple days ago and what the results are. Were they real? Were they not? Were they Memorex? He'll fill you in on that. I think you know the answer. And then Ed Vidal is supposed to be here at 11:30. We're going to talk about what's going on in Miami politics, election corruption, election cartel, election fraud cartel in Florida, how the Election Integrity Brigade and others are fighting it. So, big show. We were supposed to have CHD on to talk about 5G towers, but I got an email this morning that the person is sick, so they're rescheduled for November 17th. Anyway, we produce on the fly here. It's how we roll. Stay with us. We'll be back. We've got a lot to talk about, and we'll be back after this. Stay with us. The bird flu is circulating. We're getting more and more press, more fear mongering, more warnings about this. First, let's start with that. What say you on?
Well, what I say is it specifically is not circulating. It's in animals. There's one human, maybe two transmissions, no human-to-human transmission. And stand by, everybody. If there is some sort of sudden human-to-human transmission, you should immediately be suspicious that gain of function was involved with that. Just the fact that they're taking an animal virus and going nuts on it in the press and talking about it all the time, that to me leads me to believe that they have concerns that somebody is doing something with that virus, because this would not happen naturally, in my opinion.
Our world is changing rapidly. Many crucial systems we depend upon are collapsing. And the most important system that is failing is the food supply.
Mr. President, this Council is more than aware of the multiple challenges and threats the world is facing today. But the threat of famine, people starving slowly to death, must be a red line.
These food prices are going to keep going up and up, and they're going to keep feeding excuse after excuse, narrative after narrative.
Yeah.
Where you're going to have to get off that treadmill and start getting more autonomous with your own food growing.
You want to make sure that you can eat, because frankly, food is the biggest issue as we are going through these transitions.
But amidst the chaos, there is a path to resilience. Marjorie Wildcraft is the female leader of the survival and preparedness movement. Marjorie has taught millions of people how to grow an abundance of food in a grid-down situation, even if you have no experience, are older, or out of shape.
I've spent decades finding the fastest, easiest, and funnest ways for the average person to be able to grow a lot of food. I've created a step-by-step process that's so simple that even kids to elders have been using it in order to grow a lot of their own food. And you can too, even if you have no experience, you're older, or you're out of shape.
Growing your own food is like printing your own money. Get started today.
So growing your own food is like printing your own money. That's Marjorie Wildcraft. Go to cdmfood.com. Let me throw that up there. It is cdmfood.com. And you can see everything she has to offer. She has a lot of free content on the Grow Network. What a great time. We're coming into fall. It's time to prepare seeds. It's time to prepare the soil. All these things you can do to have a fantastic garden in the new year. So why not go to cdmfood.com, check out her free content, but also check out the Grow Network. It's a subscription service, but you get questions, all kind of questions answered. I mean, and she does a good job of showing you how to grow your own food, just like printing money, even if you're old, and out of shape. So, and you don't have a lot of space. I mean, I've done it with her program, and I've gone through it. So that's why we brought her on. We really trust her. And also Nucleo Boost. Wow. Nucleo's keeping us going, man. I tell you what, this is the capsule form here. Check it out. cdmnutrition.com. That is cdmnutrition.com. Check out Nucleo Boost. Here's the powder, the package. It comes in a powder. I like the powder more than the capsules, but I take the capsules on the road. Everything you need at the cellular level to give your body what it needs to be healthy. So when that virus, that disease does come along, you're armed to deal with it, and you get through it quicker than normal. So check out Nucleo Boost. Do the subscription. It's cheaper than monthly subscription, and just a fantastic product. You don't need to buy all these other nutraceuticals. You can just buy this one thing and you're good. You get everything you need at the cellular level. It has the bioallo to get it into the cell. And I didn't know. I thought that was just BS, but I looked it up, and that is actually just like the zinc and the hydrochloroquine. The zinc is the bullet. The hydrochloroquine is the gun to get it into your cell. Same with this. The bioallo gets this nutrients into your cell at the cellular level, so you have everything you need. So with that, we're going to bring in our first guest, Alex, who has been one of our great sources on Ukraine for a long time, and we'll bring him in now. Alex, my friend, how are you? Hello there. I can't hear you, Alex. Huh. Are you on mute? Make sure you're not muted, my friend. Hello? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't hear you. Maybe drop out and come back in, Alex. Okay, he's going to do that. So we'll see what happens with him. Let's talk about another sponsor, the emergency medical kits at the Wellness Company. That's twc.health/CDM. Let me bring that up. twc.health/CDM. This is the contagion kit. It has everything you need if there's a new kind of like pandemic 2, which they're talking about, by the way. And we published an article yesterday or 2 days ago about rats jumping up and catching bats in the air. I mean, if that's not predictive programming, I don't know what. They're getting the virus. The rats are jumping up and getting the bats, and the virus is going into the rats, and the rats are going to get you the virus. Obviously, if that's happening now, it's happened through history. So, there you go. But this is the Wellness Company contagion kit. It has the nebulizer, and it also has the steroids and everything for that type of illness, and among other things. This is the travel kit, which I love, the emergency travel kit. I take it with me everywhere. I'm taking it with me to Austin. I've used it many times on the road. How nice. You're on the road. You have a problem, and you don't have to go to the CVS or even go to a doctor. You just get online with the Wellness Company. They tell you what to do. Go do this, do that, take this pill, put this on that cut or whatever, and you're good to go. So I highly recommend that, especially for people who travel a lot. And this is the ultimate spike detox. If you have friends who are, or family members who are vaccinated and you're worried about them, what a great way to give them the product they need to get that spike protein out of the blood. People are having it years later, especially if you took multiple boosters. You've got all this in your blood. So this has been proven, the nattokinase and other ingredients has been proven to remove the spike protein from your blood. There's theories that it helps, prevent turbo cancers, that it helps prevent, skin problems, all of that. All the stuff, the spike protein it's a toxin in your body. That's what the vaccine is. It creates a toxin, messenger RNA, makes your body create toxins for years, and it has all kind of deadly effects. And all that information is coming out. But this is a great stocking stuffer, by the way. If you want something to throw in that stocking, that fits right in there, doesn't it? Along with the Nucleo capsules, by the way, Nucleo Boost. So twc.health/CDM, use promo code CDM and check out the Wellness Company. They have all kind of things on there. Check out their doctor visits, their nutraceuticals, their pharmaceuticals, their weight loss, the drop, the parasite cleanse, the cream that helps arthritis, the ivermectin cream, all of that. Check it out. Spend some time on the website. Great Christmas gifts, by the way. Okay, you know what? We're waiting on Alex. We're going to take a break and come right back. He must be having some issues, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Well, in the case of hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, these are two medications that have been FDA approved for use in humans for decades. They are very, very inexpensive. Interestingly, available over the counter in almost every other country other than the US and Canada. You can just walk into a pharmacy and buy them like we buy Tylenol in much of the world because they're that safe. And we've known for decades that ivermectin has very strong antiviral properties. It has anti-inflammatory properties, and both ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine are what we call zinc ionophores. They help to move zinc from the bloodstream into the cell, which is where it needs to be in order to fight off a virus. So lots of application for these, and we have every reason to believe that those drugs also will likely have some efficacy against H5N1 or a number of other respiratory viruses that we may meet down the road.
If you haven't noticed, gold has reached a new high, all-time highs actually, and keeps going up every day. Why is that? It's because precious metals are a long-time historical store of value. And if you own a portfolio and you have assets in the fiat currencies, i.e. stocks, bonds, cash, or whatever, you're vulnerable to hyperinflation, which is coming as our debt explodes another trillion every 90 days. It's really scary. So how do you protect yourself? Go to Advisor Metals. If you look on any of our cdm.press sites, about halfway down, there's an ad for Advisor Metals. Click on it, fill out the form for your contact info, and Igor Bishotsky will contact you and talk to you. It's an easy conversation. There's no sales pitch. He's completely verified by us. He has a regulatory background we've checked into. We've checked with his bankers. We've checked with his IRA custodians for metals. and we can highly recommend Advisor Metals and ERA. So go to Advisor Metals. If you call them directly, tell them we sent you at CDM, and he'll definitely take care of you. But protect your portfolio because you really need to. It's coming. Thank you. Okay, let's try this again with Alex from Kyiv. Hold on one second.
All right.
My friend, how are you?
Good. I can hear you now. And
Excellent. So I wanted to have you on because there's so much going on in Donbass. And first of all, give us an update on what's happening on the ground there.
Well, I sent you some slides and maps. So let's bring those slides up and let's take a look at the map.
Sure. So the next slide, there you go.
Yeah, all right. So there's a cauldron, and the Russian troops, they utilize this famous strategy of creating larger cauldrons, smaller cauldrons, and even smaller cauldrons. And they utilize this all the time. And we can see larger Donbass cauldron happening, and we can see two cauldrons on the territory of Pokrovsk and Mirnograd. And the situation is really bad.
Explain what you mean by cauldron. You mean like a
surrounded. Yeah,
surrounded. Okay, yeah.
Grounded, yeah. Grounded and surrounded troops of Ukrainian forces. According to some sources and some little excerpts from gossips I see in Telegram channels, and I see from people talking in Kyiv, some battalions of Ukrainian forces lost up to 60-70% of their forces in battalions, and the losses are enormous. 6,000 people per week.
Yeah, no, that's insane.
Yeah, so Pokrovsk is lost, and Russians control the center of Pokrovsk. However, some Spetsnaz forces of Ukrainians were sent back to Pokrovsk, and some streets are still under control of Ukrainian forces, and some streets are controlled by Russian forces, and Spetsnaz fight each other, and the drones are flying everywhere. So they basically sit in some apartments and buildings, and they do not fight on the streets because the drones are monitoring the situation and kill all soldiers that just try to walk on the streets and kill each other.
Yeah. So I had I saw this. I can't remember exactly where I saw it, but someone was commenting that after Sierski was brought in and the old commander would left, or was sent to London or whatever, that the tactics changed from Ukraine from more maneuver towards more like Soviet tactics. So now you have a small Soviet army fighting a big Soviet army.
Yes, it is. Yes, Sierski is an artillery commander, and he is very much a person who is very stubborn, and he's an artillerist, and he doesn't understand the tactical maneuverability of the army or the strategy of the terrain, and he doesn't understand the strategic operational command. He was taught to use the brutal force in the Soviet Union, and he didn't obtain any other upgrade of his military software in his head, and he was respected by people from the artillery and from the combat when the war started in 2014, because he ordered just to shoot artillery without any orders and without any analysis, and he was respected just for the brutal force. But the brutal force doesn't work in this war, and he has become a puppet of Yermak and Zelensky, and he obeys their orders from the office of the president.
And
So he's not.
Yermak is the Zelensky advisor.
Yes, Yermak is the usurper and real president of Ukraine right now.
Interesting. So where do you see all this going?
Let's take a look at the next slide.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the real front line is, I just draw the line, and you can see larger cauldrons surrounded area and smaller cauldrons. So Pokrovsk is lost, and you can see some comments on the screen where it's not what I wrote, but you can see some numbers that a lot of troops have left the army. So estimated 460 troops have left the army, and they're hiding on the territory of Ukraine, but they cannot leave Ukraine.
460,000.
Yeah, 460,000 of AWO.
Deserters, essentially.
Deserters, yes.
Yeah.
And the Verkhovna Rada, 2 weeks ago, they passed the additional law that if those deserters do not come back to the army, they could be thrown into jail for 6 years. So people desert the army, and they will be caught on the streets because the bounty hunters catch deserters, and they catch people who have not been mobilized yet. And the country is full of jail and detention. So a lot of men are simply detained in bounty hunters' jails.
Wow. And these are like underground, like really bad facilities. You've sent me some images of that in the past. I mean, guys chained to like bed bunks and, sleeping on top of each other. I mean, it's really bad conditions in these facilities, right?
Yes, bad condition. And I myself visited the TCK center, the drafting center in Deverze. It's a Darnitsa military outpost, kind of. It's not a military outpost of the country anymore because it has been privatized, and all those military outposts, they are private organizations that draft people on the streets, and they give them contracts, and if people do not sign the contracts voluntarily, they just kick their heads, and people become disabled after they have been kicked. And I remember I visited that particular infamous Darnitsa outpost, and I walked in, and all those people who work there, they're so rude. The doctors are rude, and the colonels are simply imbeciles and idiots. And those outposts have become simply jails. And I remember walking through some of those buildings and trying to get the information, because I had to be registered as a soldier, because otherwise the government would not give me a passport. And I remember I was shocked. I visited so many medical examinations in my life, and I learned to hate all those idiots and imbeciles who work for this. You need to understand that those outposts, they are not the government. They are the private army. They are militarized formations, and they're basically squadrons. And they detain people, and they kick people, they torture people in those jails. And there are thousands of pictures already in the internet coming from my friends, coming from these other sources, videos who show how people are kicked and tortured in those military detention camps.
You were telling me before that because they're private, the families won't get insurance, like the Americans. There's this expression in America called, he bought the farm, meaning it came from World War II, when pilots would get killed and the farm would get paid off by the government with the life insurance. So you bought the farm by dying in the war. But that doesn't happen to these private formations. Am I correct?
If let's say a person is caught on the street, he will be drafted into the army without against the will. And if this person is killed in action, he is considered a private trooper, not a government trooper. And his body, if found, will be sent to the family. And the papers will be issued to the family that that person was a private draftee, but not a government soldier. And if you're a private draftee, the family doesn't get the 12 million hryvnia for the body. And the 12 million hryvnia is basically, how much is it? So it's $250,000. But the families who have the papers that their father or son was actually a government army soldier draftee, because there's a definition if you're drafted in the real army formation or you're drafted as a private soldier. So the people, men in Ukraine, they learned to pay $6,000 in order for them to be drafted as a government soldier.
What a grift.
What a grift. And I mean, you need to pay $6,000 in order to be drafted as a government soldier. And if you're killed, then your family will obtain 12 million hryvnia, which is approximately $250,000, spread within 8 years.
Jeez.
So this is bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, just to get equipment for yourself, it costs approximately $12,000 to get the equipment in order for you to go to the army, because they will not give you the equipment. That's the point.
Wow. So I just want to say to our audience, we're not pro-Russian or pro-Ukrainian. We're pro-humanity. We want the killing to end, and this is nothing more, in my opinion, Alex, than just a depopulation exercise. What do you think?
Yes, it's a homicide. It's a big genocide, and it's a homicide. And all this war is the war for the control of resources. And the Russian Federation troops, they do not attack the territories where the licenses of American and British corporations are located. And they just occupy the locations and the territories on Donbass where the licenses have been assigned by President either Kravchuk, Kuchma, or Yanukovych for Russian companies. And that's basically the war for resources and the war for control and the war for taxes and the war for population and the territorial control. About that, of course, you have the geopolitical reasons for this war, and but those are secondary.
So is, we had the Wiesbaden German situation where the U.S. and NATO generals were controlling the war. Is that still the case, or is it mostly the British now? What is going on?
Yeah, British MI6 control the arena, the theater, the war theater, and every other day there's a situational meeting that happens in the situational room of Yermak with British observers and commanders.
Wow. So what else do you have? Is there another slide? Or?
Yeah. Please go on to the other slide. So Zelensky is an usurper, and just last week there was a report, and this report was issued by the Department of State that stated basically that 3 months ago the intelligence community of the United States have issued the report on the state of
Did I lose you?
And see the excerpts. I took some excerpts from this report. They understand that the Zelensky and Yermak are basically usurpers, and they have usurped the powers. And there's no democracy because Rada reports to the usurpers, Zelensky and
the
Yermak.
parliament. The Rada is the parliament.
Yeah, it's a parliament. Yes.
There's no separation of powers, is what you're saying.
Yeah, no separation of power. It's a vertical, and they have established the military junta. So by all definitions, by any definitions, it's a military junta officially stated in Ukraine. And this report is available in the United States, issued by the CIA and the intelligence community. You can see there. So the NSA, they have this. So they have this report, and they understand that they are dealing with the military junta. And my question, and I have been asking this question for almost 2 years already, and you remember that I asked this question: in what capacity does President Trump? So what is the capacity of President Zelensky and Yermak when they travel to Washington D.C. and they meet President Trump? So how in the world legitimate President Trump, the president of the United States, can meet illegitimate junta commanders that have usurped the powers, and they're killing thousands of people in Ukraine. So what is their capacity for them to travel to Washington, D.C. and meet the President of the United States? That's my question.
Well, you have an Al-Qaeda leader in Syria coming to D.C. next week. So
yeah, I am surprised about that also. So that person from Al-Qaeda was in Syria, appointed as a president. He's a serial killer. Have you seen he held two heads that he cut off, and he boasted that he cut off the heads of their enemies. It's a serial killer. So Zelensky is a serial killer, and Yermak is a serial killer.
Wow.
Let's take a look at the next slide.
Okay.
All right. So who is Yermak? Yermak is an instrument of oligarch Pinchuk, and Pinchuk is a business partner, and political partner of George Soros. So there's the organized crime syndicate that controls the military junta in Ukraine, that is influenced by and controlled by the family of Soros, the family of Pinchuk, and they have business interests to the large oligarchy from Europe, from the UK, and from the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Yermak is a person who have usurped the powers, the responsibilities, and Yermak controls Zelensky. Next slide. So you can see on this slide, you see that Soros Jr. Financed the new mayor of New York, and Soros Jr. finances, controls, influences, and provides financing for Yermak and Zelensky. And Soros Jr. and Soros family, they have common business interest in business companies that operate in Ukraine and out of Ukraine. And after this slide, I sent you the video.
Yes.
Please show us the video.
Okay, here we go.
Розуміти, я впевнений, що сама Белія не проти, тому що це питання всіх і відповідальності всіх. Треба зрозуміти, я впевнений, що сама Белія не проти, тому що це питання всіх і відповідальності всіх. Треба зрозуміти, я впевнений, що сама Белія не проти.
Well, you saw the facial expressions of this business partner and homicide and genocidal partner of Zelensky.
Yeah.
So Yermak understands that Zelensky is a puppet, he's an actor, and Yermak is behind the scenes, and Yermak is pulling the strings on Zelensky, and Yermak is behind all criminal and political and military activities in Ukraine. So how can you forecast what will happen next if the person behaves like this? Let's take a look at the next slide.
Okay, let me bring that back up.
All right, so Yermak is looking at there. You can see that he's behind, and he's basically a director of Zelensky. Next slide.
Mm-hmm.
So Yermak is connected with Soros and Soros-affiliated structures from the city of London and, of course, from New York. And you can see here that Soros was born in Hungary. Soros is a persona non grata in Hungary. And you can see here that the Hungarian legislature even passed the law in order to ban Soros-affiliated structures to operate in Hungary. Mm-hmm. Next slide. And let's take a look at the historical example of how the color revolutions are organized. So what we see here on the slide, there was a color revolution organized and influenced by left and right radicals outside of Hungary, who organized homicide and genocide of adequate and local Hungarians and Soviet people in Budapest in 1956. So you can see here the text and the actual pictures, how the left and right radicals hand people and cut their bodies, just in the center of Budapest in 1956. And the story is, this is a little excerpt from the actual destiny and the life of the wife of future president of the USSR, her name Andropova. If you remember, Andropov was appointed a president in 1980 something in the USSR.
Yeah.
So the destiny of this story is awful. When I myself I didn't understand the events of 1956. My mom actually told me that my grandfather, as a historian and the Soviet Union officer, was really shocked and cried over the events that happened in Budapest. Next slide.
Well, let me just say something. I think it's becoming obvious that the Bolsheviks destroyed Russia primarily, and they're trying to do the same thing here and in the U.S.
Trotskyist.
Yeah.
Trotskyist, modern neo-Nazis, I would say. They're not clear Nazi, they're not clear Trotskyist, they're modern neo-Nazi Trotskyist. They're so left that they are so right. So the left radicals and right radicals have combined in their ideology and of modern Trotskyism, and I think there will be some modern term to describe how this neo-Trotskyism has evolved.
It's essentially using, satanic violence to achieve power and money, right? I mean, is that kind of the basics of it?
It's a part of it, I think. Yeah, I agree with you. It's very satanic, and it's all for money, it's all for political control, and it's all for behind the scenes control. It's not transparent, it's not democracy, it's not the republic, it's not what you would call a country. So what they did in Hungary in 1956, I think that they will do similar in Ukraine. And they did similar in Ukraine in 2014, and they did similar in 2020 in Ukraine, and the similar is happening right now in Ukraine. So my personal forecast is that we will see something similar to the pictures you see right now on the screen. We will see similar in Ukraine. People will be hands on Krещатик, and then it will be over for the country.
Well, I mean, there's a reason we don't see everything on the front, because it's horrific. I mean, 9,000 people a week being killed, or whatever the number is, 6 to 8, whatever. I mean, that's just, it's got to be just, Armageddon there. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Anyway, next slide
Next slide. Yeah. Next slide. So this slide is basically a conclusion. So you can see that Soros and Soros-affiliated structures operate in Ukraine from 1993. Soros gave first credit to first president of Ukraine, Kravchuk, and Kravchuk defaulted in 1993. And then Kravchuk had to obey Soros-affiliated structures from 1993. And I have seen this particular document myself, where the government buildings in Ukraine, the government buildings in Rada and Cabinet of Ministers, they have all been collateralized on that credit from Soros. I have seen that particular document signed by the Minister of Finance of Ukraine, so it's not some conspiracy theory. I have seen the document myself, I researched this, and later all next presidents of Ukraine, they also defaulted on credits to Soros, and that's why Soros and Soros-affiliated structures have so much influence on the government of Ukraine, the Cabinet of Ministers, and Soros appoints the Ministers of Finance, and basically the Minister of Finance of Ukraine and previous and the current one, Sergei Marchenko, they report to Soros and Rothschild affiliated structures. Next
and you
slide.
told me before that there's a like a washing machine where they pull these kids out of school, they educate them a certain way, then they put them in the NGOs, and then they put them in the government. It's all run by Soros, right?
Yeah. So, for example, Kyiv School of Economics is a private institution that is financed secretly by Renaissance Foundation, by Soros, Eurasia Foundation, also by grants from European countries, and they place. Then they place kids into specialized training, secret trainings administered by NGOs in Ukraine. I have several witnesses who reported what happens on those secret trainings. So then the kids are brainwashed. Those kids can be like in their 20s or 30s. So it's not only kids, it's adults, young adults. Then they're brainwashed, and then they're put into secret trainings and neuro-linguistic trainings, and basically like semi-agent trainings, and then they're placed into particular governmental agencies or organs or municipalities in Ukraine. And this is how Soros-affiliated structures have built and penetrated the body of the government of Ukraine.
And they're trying to do that here. And that's also why...
Yeah, they did it the same in the United States. It's all similar.
If you take the theory that that's a satanic movement, and then it makes perfect sense that you would attack the Ukrainian Orthodox Church and steal the churches, burn the churches, beat the priests. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, makes the same sense to me. Next slide. Yeah. All right, this is the picture of the Hungarian news, and I have been saying this for many years because I worked in Naftogaz. I worked with Naftogaz people, and I know a lot of people who worked in Naftogaz, and I myself researched the forensic money laundering cases on Naftogaz, and you can see here the example of the Hungarian news. So this is the website coming from Hungary that states that Soros stuffed Naftogaz with own people, and Vitrenko, Kobolev, they fly to the office of Soros in London. I have seen the business trips documents of Vitrenko and Kobolev, who were the managers of Naftogaz when they report to Soros and when they flew.
Just for our audience, Naftogaz is the state-run gas utility.
Soros runs the Naftogaz.
Yeah, okay.
Well, Naftogaz is penetrated by the agents of Soros, by the agents of the British Secret Service and American Secret Service. There are representatives of Kolomoisky, Firtash in Naftogaz. So Naftogaz is a group of companies that control a lot of licenses in oil and gas and rare earth mineral fields in Ukraine. So the fight is for the resources, for the oil, gas, and rare earth minerals that Naftogaz also controls, and that's why the agents of Soros were placed in Naftogaz. Vitrenko and Kobolev reported to Soros. The agents of British Secret Service were placed into Naftogaz. The agents of from the CIA were placed onto the supervisory board on Naftogaz. I mean, the Secret Service have penetrated Naftogaz, and they cooperate with Soros people. But Soros is an oligarch that controls and cooperates with Secret Services out of the United Kingdom and the United States. So how do you call this?
Yeah.
Next slide. So this is the original screenshot of the letter from George Soros to oligarch criminal Petro Poroshenko, who was the president of Ukraine. So Petro Poroshenko defaulted to Soros on credits, and George Soros utilizes the letter. Sometimes George Soros would come and have personal meetings with ministers. George Soros assigns the ministers and controls the presidents of Ukraine. This is the outcome, and I have seen a lot of documents of similar nature that you see right now on the screen. This is just one of the letters I just prepared on the screen on the slides just for you, for the audience, just to prove my words that it's not a conspiracy theory. It's anti-conspiracy. They do not even hide their influence on the ministers and presidents of Ukraine. They are so sure that they can get away with it that they do not even hide it anymore. So next slide. These are the real screenshots of the Renaissance Foundation. We can find probably more evidence like this, but I have this file from 2018. I did not monitor the activity of George Soros, and don't get me wrong, that I monitor his activity. You can see here that there are tons of money that have been laundered from the government of the United States through Soros-affiliated structures, through the NGOs of Soros-affiliated structures, and they have been carouselled through European NGOs and Ukrainian NGOs. Carouseling of money is basically a money laundering.
Carouseling, you mean like
Carouseling,
like a merry-go-round? It's
merry-go-round. It's a carousel
machine.
of money. It's a washing machine. It's a carouseling of money through the channels.
Yeah.
So it's a special term, money carouseling. So they circle the money. They backwards circle the money through NGOs, through shell companies, through SPVs, and they profit from this because when they control the spending, they control the investment, and then they control the dividends out of those channels.
Right.
And they wash the money through the channels. And you can see here that they control the media in Ukraine, but Soros-affiliated structures, they finance and control the media, not only in Ukraine. I'm speaking about Ukraine because this is the presentation about Ukraine and the situation in Ukraine, but the same channels, the same techniques, they're used in other European countries, not only in Ukraine. The same techniques are used in Argentina. The same techniques are used in Brazil. The same techniques are used in Latin American countries. Same techniques are used in African countries. Same techniques. I mean, there's the same problem in Slovakia, same problem in Czech Republic, same problem in Germany, same problem in Portugal, in Spain, same problem in Great Britain. Everything is of the same nature and same instruments and same techniques. Next slide.
Okay.
Okay, this is this picture. I just found it in the internet some long time ago, but you can see the structure of Soros network in Ukraine. Soros appoints the president. Soros appoints the minister. Soros appoints the minister of finance. Soros appoints the head of central banks not only in Ukraine. Soros appointed the heads of central bank in Slovakia and Czech Republic, in other European countries. Soros has heads of central bank working for him, so for his funds and for his NGOs. People are trained to get into Soros-affiliated companies. For example, my colleagues and some of my friends, they dreamed to get additional secret trainings to get their MBAs and get into Soros-affiliated structures in Ukraine, because that would mean they would get $3,000, $5,000, maybe $8,000 per month, and for that kind of money in Kyiv, you could live like you are a king or a queen. And that's why they betrayed their own conscience, they betrayed their consciousness, they betray their honesty, they betray their people, and they begin to work for this network of Soros. Next slide.
Well, let me just say, I know you could have been part of that, and you're the only honest Ukrainian I know.
I escaped from several projects that were affiliated with Soros. I was suggested to be a part of several companies that worked for Soros. For example, I had several interviews with people who established the Renaissance Foundation in Ukraine. For example, I did not meet Daniluk myself, but I have been interviewed for a position in the office of Renaissance Foundation and several other NGOs that Renaissance financed in Ukraine. And I also worked for a project that Soros provided financing. And I have seen internal documents. And I told you already that I visited Naftogaz, I worked with Naftogaz people, I met with Naftogaz people, and Naftogaz was penetrated by people from Soros.
Yeah. Okay.
Next slide. So here are some more pictures of Soros-affiliated network. You can see Olena Zelensky, wife of Mr. Zelensky and the Super of Ukraine, got herself into a huge scandal of human body trafficking, and baby trafficking out of Ukraine and body organs trafficking. And you can see that Mrs. Zelenska is well connected to source-affiliated structures, and you can see some famous people on the picture on the right.
Yeah.
So it's a huge scandal.
Yeah.
So the Zelensky, Mrs. Zelensky, and Mr. Zelensky, they're not only criminals; they're criminals against humanity.
Yes.
And many people have already reported on the illegal money laundering, on illegal human body trafficking, on the illegal weapons smuggling out of Ukraine. And what is more intriguing out of this is that the CIA and the government of the United States, AFAC, FinCEN, they have this information about the criminal activities of Zelensky and Pinchuk and Yermak and Soros in Ukraine, but they do not stop them. So what's the question with that?
Yeah.
Next slide.
Okay.
And you can see here that Yermak reports to Soros, Alex Soros, on a regular basis. You can see the situational room located just across the parliament of Ukraine. I visited that particular facility several times. I did not walk into the situational room, but the guys who escorted me there, they showed me where the situational room is located, and I know the place. I have been into that business center many times, and I have been into the maintenance facility of this data center that works for this particular situational room that you see on the picture. So you can see here that Alex Soros usually travels to Ukraine once per several months, and they have cordial meetings with Andrei Yermak, and you can see that Andrei Yermak reports to Alex Soros. And anytime there's a problem and there's a liquidity gap or additional money has to be laundered, Alex Soros comes to Kyiv, meets with Yermak, and then they create a really creative accounting governmental solution how to launder the money through Ukraine. And the sums and the volumes of money laundering, they are enormous. So approximately 95% of financing goes through Ukraine, is carouseled through Ukraine, and then leaves Ukraine. And only approximately estimated 3 to 5% of financing that Ukraine is provided stays within Ukraine and is spent on Ukrainian.
Well, I've always said
purposes.
that Ukraine is essentially a playground for organized crime. I mean,
yes,
they can do
is.
anything they want, that's why they don't want to lose it, because it's unmonitored. There's no accountability at all.
There's no accountability, and we on this slide we see the puppet masters, and this is how they do it. Next slide. All right, and another scandal, and you can see the source. It's Guardian, and I did not invent this source, so it's Guardian. So Guardian is controlled by the Secret Service out of the United Kingdom. So you can see here. So the question is that Guardian people basically asked, did Boris Johnson take bribes to persuade Zelensky to continue the war? And that was the sponsor of Boris Zelensky on the left. You can see on the picture on the left. And then you can see that Boris Johnson came to Ukraine and persuaded Zelensky and Yermak and gave them the guarantees from the Secret Service of the United Kingdom so that they need to continue the war. So Boris Johnson was an instrument, but he's not the puppet master. So Boris Johnson is an instrument how to control the puppets in Ukraine and how to create the usurpation of powers in Ukraine. And you can see that it's all a theater. It is a playground. Next slide.
Okay. I think that's it.
That's it. Okay. That's it for today.
Well, my friend, thank you for your time. It's always an amazing insight. So take care, and we'll
Thank
talk.
you, Todd.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
So now you see why we were deplatformed so heavily several years ago, and why they really don't want us to exist. But we're still here, and we're still telling the truth, no matter what. And we're going around, above, under the censorship, and getting our message out as to what's happening in Ukraine. And again, we love the Ukrainian people. we're not anti-Ukraine. We're anti this regime and anti this organized crime, and we want the killing to stop, and we want the killing on the Russian side to stop. So this is something that is just really, really important for humanity to stop this war, because there's no, as I said, nothing good happens after 12 p.m. in a bar, and nothing good happens in the end of the rainbow of what they're trying to do in Ukraine. So with that, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. We've got Bill Quinn talking about the elections, and then we have Ed Vidal at the bottom of the hour. So stay with us on the SCIF.
Celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7. I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs, or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
Pandemic, we can never be caught unprepared again. And so many Americans, when COVID hit, they had nothing in the house. Stores were shut down, and doctors' offices were shut down. And even if doctors prescribed drugs, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, pharmacists wouldn't fill the prescriptions. That was a nightmare.
Now the situation is much worse. We have these horrible supply chain problems. In our emergency medical kit at the Wellness Company, we have 8 prescription drugs that are all potentially life-saving.
Most people who died with COVID, they died in the hospital because they didn't receive early treatment.
Every American family should have one of these.
I can tell you the Wellness Company kit is the answer.
When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah, we'll give him a hearty welcome then, hurrah, hurrah. All the men will cheer, the boys will shout, the ladies they will all turn out and belong.
Welcome back to the SCIF. Give a shout out to mypillow.com. He has so many products there. I know a lot of people who have kids in college who are just starting out in their careers, who just got a new apartment, got a new flat, bought a home. There's where you need to go for Christmas presents. Okay. You know, the daughter that just bought a home with a new husband, she needs towels, comforters, mattress toppers, sheets, everything, slippers, dog, pillows. Go to see what Mike has at mypillow.com and use promo code CDM, and you'll get the best discounts. But I can tell you the products are extremely, extremely, extremely good and high quality. And that's what I love. You know, I tell the story that I bought some sheets at Walmart made in China, and I washed them and they turned blue to yellow. So you're not going to get that with Mike Lindell. You get high quality stuff that lasts a long time, and you're going to wear it out and then want to buy more. So use promo code CDM at mypillow.com. I'm going to bring in Bill Quinn now. We did he cut a clip for me on the elections, and I'm going to play this, and then we'll have Ed Vidal at the bottom of the hour. We've also got some stories to go through. So here we go.
Hi, this is Bill Quinn. We wanted to take a few minutes and do a debrief on the elections that occurred last night that so many are questioning, and it reminds one of the questions in past years about how could these things have happened. And so we're going to focus on some feedback from several folks that we know that we find accurate and insightful in looking at some of these things. So let's start with this. We want to make sure we remember the 5th of November. and question those things that need to be questioned based on what we've now seen. So let's go here first. So Peter Berniger, a friend of CDM in the show, brought out some very interesting points. He starts with, last night, there were 125,000 early mail-in votes for Democratic governor candidate Spanberger. This morning, there were over 300,000 early mail-in votes for her. And he lists the source that you can go interrogate to take a look for yourself. And then he calls out, let's take a look at the Virginia Attorney General race. Mayeres, the Republican, versus Jones, the Democrat, for AG in Virginia. Republican Mayeres lost right at the time inside the green box. And he points out the image below. We're going to show that to you zoomed up in just a moment. And then, yep, the GOP, the RNC Research Organization, RNC Vote Protect, just keep pretending there's no election fraud. They're not screaming and yelling and investigating all this. And by the way, it's how you stay in power, isn't it? Well, let's take a look for a moment at what Mr. Berniger is pointing out here. Here is the list of votes. It's a way of looking at the votes as they're cumulatively tabulated. And you can see that Mayeres was in the lead. That's the red line at the top. And so it was above the blue line for Jones for most of the race, up until that last 10 or 15%. And all of a sudden they switch. What does that remind you of? This looks very similar, if we recall, to that time when a number of states stopped counting. And then when they came back, all of a sudden, the dynamic between Trump and Biden in several states switched, just like very similar to what you see here. And Biden all of a sudden accumulated a whole lot more votes. How could that be? And you'll recall that this happened in Georgia, I believe Wisconsin, Arizona, and others. And in fact, the counting went on for quite some number of days before we had a final count in which supposedly Biden had won the election. Well, since then, we've been told by Tulsi Gabbard and others that findings have shown that the machines can be tampered with. And they have open doors, if you will, that allow folks to go in and change data that is supposed to be not changeable. I suspect we're going to learn more about how this happens. But keep in mind, too, that Fulton County and others have been hiding their ballots, their physical ballots. And one wonders why that is. Matter of fact, we're going to see somebody call them out on that in just a moment. Emerald Robinson also brought out some very interesting thoughts. She jumped right to the chase and said the elections yesterday were rigged. Just look at the vote shift in the Mayeres-Jones race, same thing we just showed you, and exactly the same as the 2020 election. It's the numbers are different, but the dynamic is much the same, and that's why I think what she's pointing out. Liz Harrington, one of the folks that we have learned to really watch and who shares insight that is very helpful as we go through this. Why spend 5 years and millions of dollars to prevent voters from looking at 148,000 ballots you insist are perfectly fine? Guess who she's talking to? She's talking to Fulton County here in Georgia. The question answers itself. If we finally see the ballots, and I believe, by the way, we will, the world will see the 2020 election results were a fabrication. And others in past days and weeks have said, simply by getting a look at the actual ballots for Maricopa and Fulton would shed incredible light on the 2020 elections. Is that true? Well, a number of people are saying it, so we wonder if it's in any way untrue. Elon Musk called out something very interesting. He notes that the New York City ballot had some very strange abnormalities. One, there's no ID required to cast a vote. That's a problem, of course. But in addition, the ballot itself listed one candidate twice and put the Republican candidate way down at the bottom. Let's take a look. So the gentleman, if we're going to use that term, who won, Mr. Zoran, was listed actually twice. Did that help him gather more votes, perhaps? We don't know. And then look at Andrew Cuomo. He's down there at the bottom, sandwiched between two other candidates. Why would they pick that particular way of listing these? Why would Zoran get two ballot choices? Just astounding. And we'll see something about their victory celebration in just a couple of minutes that I think you'll find interesting. Leading report brought out this that was reported by Scott Pressler, but also many others. The election machines had at one point gone down in multiple locations across Cumberland County, New Jersey. Does that have significance? Well, if you remember back in 2022, I believe it was, a number of the machines failed in various precincts in Maricopa County and perhaps other counties in Arizona. And it was later theorized that why would these have failed? Well, there was talk about inappropriate paper or inappropriate ballots, or in some places they simply ran out of ballots to put in machines and so forth. Just a cross smattering, if you will, of issues that should not have happened but did happen. And here we see it happening again. We may hear more about election machine failures as we get further into this. We're still only hours after the election as we sit here. Here in Georgia, we also had two very notable upsets. Incumbents in the Public Service Commission races that are Republican were unseated by Democrats, and they're calling it in an upset. Again, how would this happen? How could this possibly be? What are the odds of upsetting two incumbents in this particular cycle? And especially given something I'm going to show you, and it goes back again to something that Liz Harrington pointed out, that really should be a bellwether, a litmus test for public opinion. So Liz Harrington here calls out that Democrats, the Democratic Party, has been floundering in terms of public opinion for quite some time. And she gives a number of cases where you can see that. Bear with me for just a moment. So, for example, look, CNN reports Democratic Party's favorability drops to a record low. Democrats get lowest rating from voters in 35 years, according to the Wall Street Journal. And there you can see a graph where they've been tracking Democratic Party favorability. And it too has been dropping. So match that to all these upsets that happened overnight with Democratic candidates, and then paste on the fact that a couple of the races, perhaps more than a couple, demonstrate very odd anomalies, like that crossover pattern of vote preference, of the ratios, if you will. Same thing we saw here in Georgia, same thing we saw in many states back in 2020. Very, very concerning trends. And the question becomes, how long are people going to let this go before they really put their foot down and say, okay, fine, we see there's something dramatically wrong and something must be done? Are we there yet, or are we still moving in that direction? We don't know, but it feels like something has to get there in order for us to get back to a valid, trustable election outcome, really in any of the elections. Then, to put a very interesting capper on the evening, Trump brought out a post late last night that said this: "And so it begins." Makes me want to ask, and so what begins, Mr. President? Well, again, we don't know, but Trump has been putting out some very interesting posts, as we've discussed in previous shows, in the last several months, but especially in these last couple of weeks. So we'll see what may come of this. We'll show you something else that he said when he was speaking with a group of business people down in Miami during a presentation there today. And bear with me for just a moment. We'll go ahead and bring that up now.
People, many of you are not from Miami, but that's okay too. And I'm thrilled to be back in magnificent Florida, Miami, Florida, with thousands of incredible business leaders and true American patriots. That's what you are. We're gathered today on the one-year anniversary of the single most consequential election victory, they say. This is them, this isn't me. I'm a very modest person, I would never say this. The single most consequential election victory in American history. It's possible. I mean, it's possible. We've done a lot. On November 5th, 2024, the American people reclaimed our government. We restored our sovereignty. We lost a little bit of sovereignty last night in New York, but we'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. We rescued.
We'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. I wonder what that means. So one other thing that we found very interesting during the celebration party at the Zoran campaign, I think it's the campaign headquarters, wherever they were planning their celebration, something very interesting came up on their screen during their celebration. Let's take a look. Trump is your president. Huh. Fascinating. How did that get up there? Well, again, one of the other ones we don't know yet. All right. Well, thank you for listening. We hope this begins to put a little set of facts around the elections. We're going to have a lot more to talk about, I'm sure, in the coming days, and we appreciate you being here. Thanks very much.
I'm a naturopathic doctor. We are in the world of medicine very acquainted with many modalities, but probably the one most familiar with everybody would be two things: homeopathy and herbals or herbs, maybe some nutrients too, vitamins, minerals, that kind of thing. Now, we do know a lot about the drugs because we have to find out what drug you're taking affects you and what nutrient it depletes you of, because most every drug pharmacy product will deplete something. So we have been trained and we have a database that we can check into that says this is going to take your B12 away. The pharmaceutical company cannot patent organic substances made by the body. You're not born short of Advil. You're not born short of Ritalin.
Yeah.
You can be born short of insulin, right? Mm-hmm. The answers to staying healthy and keeping away from even SARS or any of those things getting into you is staying healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You and I get sick because our terrain gets out of balance. Well, that's the same thing in the soil. You and I are made from this thing called dirt. And when we get out of balance, we have the same thing happen. Weeds start to grow in our body. Right? And that's what we want in our body. We want nutrients that we don't understand how to get well enough yet because our suppliers are lacking knowledge on nutrient density foods.
So this is what drove you to develop this, was your knowledge of this, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. You know that.
Excited to announce that we're having a huge sale on overstock and brand new products. For example, My Pillow Percale bed sheets, every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. Our Percale bed sheets are breathable, cool and crisp, and they're perfect for spring and summer. And check out Rev 7. the next generation of energy drinks. It tastes great and it gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. Best of all, it's actually good for you. And for a limited time, try our 3-pack absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88. Twin size, full size, queen size, king sizes, all $29.88. Inventory is extremely limited at this price, so order now.
Welcome back to the SCIF. I see I've got Ed Vidal in the green room, so I'm going to bring him in now, and we'll talk Florida. Ed, how you doing, my friend? Thanks for coming on.
Oh, yeah. We're all bracing ourselves for this onslaught of refugees from, blue states, especially New York City. I mean, I've had talks with some local developers and old families. They go back to the 1920s, and I say to them, no, there was a big land boom in Florida in 1925. Then there was a big hurricane in 26. I said to them, listen, nobody was coming out to Florida in those years.
Yeah.
In 1940, Florida had the smallest population of any southern state. The Florida Bar wasn't even founded until 1950. And, Alexander Hamilton was practicing in New York in 1790. So Florida wasn't going anywhere except a few things happened. First of all, you need air conditioning.
Yeah.
In 1957, you got commercial air conditioning started coming. I think it was in San Antonio first. 1959, you have the Cuban Communist Revolution, big influx. And that's continued from Latin America, from other countries, Venezuela most recently. And then partly because Jack Kennedy left the Monroe Doctrine drowning in the Bay of Pigs. And then the next year he caved to the Russians, and he really allowed a foreign power to have assertion. And then finally I said, now we have the new refugee flight from blue states. And, the blue city, New York City, they're going to be coming down. I read real estate agents are getting ready. They're getting calls.
Yeah.
Late because you could see this coming, but here we are.
Well, I read that Miami it was in the top 10 most expensive places in the world.
Yep.
Miami Beach specifically.
Well, Miami Beach. I wouldn't go there.
Yeah.
But there's a good race there. We have a good candidate there. Monique Pardo Pope is running for city commissioner, and she's in a runoff. So we'll be sure to follow up her race and see if we can help.
So you run the Election Integrity Brigade. You've been involved in there was a letter written to Cord Bird by a group of people. Explain to us that.
Okay. The election integrity community in Florida has many components. There's not a single person. Raj Doraiswamy at Defend Florida is probably the coordinator, but there are other people. Chris Jersky has People's Court, and there are a handful of others. I'm included in that. So what happened here is that Deb Monks, who is a very thorough researcher and very polite researcher, she researched because last month, Cord Bird, our Secretary of State, was before the Florida legislature. They're having some committee meetings, and he was bragging about all the things he's been doing. So Deb had 10 suggestions for things that could be improved. She's helped me with some of my writing before. She's very much involved in cleaning up vote by mail, who has custody of that vote by mail ballot. She's also has questions about machines, voting machines, and so on. So she wrote this very polite, as you saw, very polite letter to Secretary of State Cord Bird. However, in order to give it a little oomph, she didn't want it to just come from herself. She wanted it to come from a handful of leaders. I was going to say experts, but we don't like experts. That's like technocrats. Experts can't be challenged. So I see reformers in the election integrity group, and that letter has been sent. I hope you'll publish it.
We will.
In the spirit in which it's taken. Deb is very polite, so she's not going to say you jerk. But I think she makes a lot of good points.
Okay.
And I wonder if he's going to even try to answer them.
Interesting. So what else is going on in the Election Integrity Brigade? I know you guys are very active, and I have been not in Miami Beach as much as I would like, but tell me what's going on the ground there. I know you guys are just
okay. Well, the key thing that's happening in Florida, it's been happening all summer, is that the Florida Republican Party, the establishment, has declared war on the MAGA movement. The grassroots conservatives. And the way they're doing it is they are forcing people out of their county level REC, Republican Executive Committees.
Yeah.
They started that last year with Manatee County, where they picked everybody out. And now they're doing it systematically. The chairman of the Charlotte County REC, Brevard County REC have all been suspended. And for the silliest of reasons. They have these grievances. I remember you sent 40 pages of grievances.
Yeah.
Tallahassee, and they didn't answer.
They didn't even answer. Yeah.
Well, these are grievances filed by the executive director against, for example, Kathy Chamberlain, who's a leader in the grassroots conservative movement. Number one, divisive rhetoric. So if your rhetoric is divisive, Kathy Chamberlain has repeatedly referred to fellow Republicans as rhinos.
They don't like that nickname, do they?
They don't like that. It really hurts them. Such language fosters division and undermines party unity. Party unity. Watch out for that. That excuses many things.
Unify behind the globalists. Yeah.
Right. Here's another one. Kathy Chamberlain has actively participated in and promoted events organized by Defend Florida, a group known for canvassing voter rolls and promoting election fraud claims. So if you canvass voter rolls and you say, hey, there might be, this is what Deb Monks was doing.
Yeah.
Say, hey, Secretary of State, look at these 10 critiques that I have. But if you do that, you're not able to stay in the party. She was suspended for 2 years.
Why would anyone want to be in this party? I mean, I guess that's the end goal, right? Get out all the people so they have access to the ballot.
Okay, here's the problem: is that in America we have a two-party system, and there's already a third party formed in Florida called the America First Party. But as Elon Musk discovered, he was going to try to start his own America First Party. It's very hard to get ballot access, and we really have a long tradition. So what we got to do, at least what I say to the grassroots conservative, we got to take over the Republican Party back, just like the Democrat Socialists have taken over the Democrat Party.
Well, yeah. The problem is the RPOF, the Republican Party.
I agree.
Doesn't want that, so they're going to kick you off the party for 2 years.
But see, that's why tomorrow at noon there's going to be a press conference. The RPOF is having their quarterly meeting in Orlando. And right outside the hotel, very peacefully, of course, there will be a press conference by 10 Republicans who have been suspended from the Republican Party for things like this.
Yeah. So we're going to live stream that on the Miami Independent and on our YouTube and Rumble and X channels. So that'll be, you can see that anywhere on CDM if you want to. It'll be on the main CDM site as well. Well, that's fantastic, Ed. But
and we're going to continue with this fight.
Yeah, we have to, right? I mean, there's no other alternative. So anything else you want to get out, Ed? I just wanted to get your opinion on all that.
Well, we're working on a summit, a Reclaim Campaign Summit in February 7th next year. And it's going to be focused on supporting MAGA candidates in Republican primaries and nonpartisan elections. And I hope, we've had some success in Hialeah. Brian Avila has defeated the establishment. He's now the mayor of Hialeah, and we're going to have him as one of our speakers. There are many people that are running for public office as MAGA candidates, so we're going to bring them along. Unfortunately, we don't have enough of them in Miami-Dade County. We need more, but certainly up in Broward and in Palm Beach County. And then the biggest issue we are facing now, we're going to be working on, is the mayoral race in the city of Miami.
Yeah.
There's a runoff between a woke progressive bureaucrat, Eileen Higgins. People are saying that she's the Mamdani of Miami. And I said, well, she has similar policies, but she doesn't have his amiable approach. She's like a progressive nun.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a bad way for nuns, but she stands for the woke progressive Levine Cava faction. In fact, she's a lot like the two women who won the governorships in New Jersey and Virginia. They military or semi-military backgrounds, service in local legislation. Eileen is in the county commission. Those two women were in Congress, and they sound like, oh, they're very moderate, and they really are very hardcore woke progressives, like Levine Cava has proven to be very, high taxes, high spending, supporting every woke cause. So that's what she actually. The Democrats have 53% of the vote. Between her and the Democrat who came in third, they have 53%. So we're supporting Emilio Gonzalez. He is a ROTC officer, served in the Army for 26 years, retired as a colonel. Then he worked in the W administration, directing the Immigration and Naturalization Service.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came down here. He was director of the Miami International Airport. He was city manager of the city. He resigned from both of those positions. And now he's a partner and advisor in a asset management firm. They're supporting him. And the key thing about him, I mean, I was checking him out earlier this year, and I thought he was a good candidate. But this summer, he really stood out, because this summer, a majority of the city commission in Miami, and immediately the mayor signed this ordinance, they delayed their election from this year to next. They said, well, we want to get more turnout. Well, okay, but you got to get the consent of the voters to do that. You can't just give yourself an extra year in office.
Yeah.
Just by voting it yourself. You got to get the approval of the voters. So Emilio, out of 13 candidates, he was the only one who objected, and then he had the wherewithal. He had the money and the good sense to hire top-notch lawyers. They beat the city in court. The judges ordered the election to be held this year, and if it hadn't been for Emilio, they wouldn't have done it.
Wow.
And Eileen's, when she heard this, she didn't object. She said, "Oh, I'll do better next year." And then when the judges ruled against the city, she said, "Oh, let's go," feigning enthusiasm all of a sudden. So I think Emilio is the real grown-up in this race, and he deserves our support. But here's the problem: the Republicans in the city of Miami are not turning out.
Yeah,
and that's what happened up in Connecticut, in New Jersey, and Virginia, everywhere. Apparently, when Trump is not on the ballot, people are not turning out. The Republican Party, instead of turning them out, they're spending their time fighting with the MAGA instead of working on turnout.
Well, there's also the feeling that they're like in Florida. Why would you vote for someone who hates you? So
right.
That's got to be overcome, and that's a big fight. It's part of the fight.
Well, yeah.
Ed, thank you so much. Go ahead.
Here in Miami, they don't hate Emilio. He's one of them. He's a Cuban American, but they got to be gotten out to vote.
Yep. Well, we're going to help you with that. So let us know if we can do anything else. And thank you for all. You can find all of Ed's writing on the Miami Independent. It's actually fantastic. And he's been a big help in bringing in other writers and contributing editor there. So thank you very much, Ed, for all your work.
Right. Happy to help anytime.
Right. Take care.
Watching my friends gain more and more weight, and then eventually I got to tell you, this is a little dark, but bad diet literally killed my whole crew.
Wow.
Diabetes, a stroke, I mean, all kinds of stuff. It's like, you had a stroke? You're not even 50 years old. You guys got to quit eating this stuff. Your body knows what's what. You're not conscious of this. But that's why people will go to the refrigerator and they'll grab this and that and the other and put together this outrageously elaborate combination of foods Your body's trying to reach balance. Unbeknownst to us, our bodies are always trying to reach homeostasis. You can't eat all of this stuff and expect to live a long time. And one thing led to another, and I went, forget this. We're going to make our own product. So we partnered with one of the world's top 3 biochemists where nutrition-specific study is concerned. I said, all I want is the best nutritional and immune support product in the world. So we mixed it in yogurt. It's a powder. I got a bag of it here. I keep one on the console all the time, just so I can show people.
Yeah.
And it's a powder. Now, this is not candy. This is hardcore nutrition, and sugar is an enemy. And most people do not know that the reason these bellies are showing up on people all over the place, your body makes fat to store the toxins it can't get rid of. So it just puts them over here. But I can tell you this, you take this for 30 days and then lay off of it for 2 or 3 days, and you'll go, good grief, give me some more. Skin, nails, hair growing back. Cut yourself and it heals in half the time.
I'm David Cross, and you may know me from my election integrity work, but I also own U.S. Asset Management, an investment advisory practice. I've been an advisor for nearly 30 years, and one of the questions I get asked most frequently is, do I have enough money relative to other people my age? And while that's an interesting question, it's also the wrong question. The right question is do you have enough money to sustain your lifestyle for the rest of your life? This is a question you should know the answer to. This is what we do. Check us out at us-am.com and look for our big, proud American Eagle logo.
We have foot, slogging over Africa. Foot, slogging over Africa. Boot, moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. 7, 6, 11.
Welcome back to the SCIF. I want to just go through a few stories here. This one is out of Connecticut on our Connecticut paper, the Connecticut Sentinel. Indivisible Greenwich wants Democrats to keep the shutdown, to continue the shutdown. Indivisible is one of these groups funded by Soros. They're all over the country. We've highlighted them in Europe, in Georgia, and elsewhere. So Connecticut Sentinel's been on top of Indivisible for some time, so you can check that out there. And you know what? I forgot to do the mission brief today. Sorry, it's been such a busy day. Here's your mission brief. U.S. military to establish base in Damascus. I'll talk about that in a second. USAA has been destroyed by diversity and H-1B visas. Another story we've got up on armedforces.press. Results from elections. Bill talked about that. Indivisible in Connecticut and the Manhattan bestsellers list I want to make you aware of. So let's talk about that real quick. This one is on AFP, armedforces.press. The U.S. to establish a military base at Damascus, or at least a military presence at an air base in Damascus. This is to help implement the Israeli-Syrian peace plan. Tom Barak is allegedly involved in this, reportedly. You know, we've been all over this developing story, being in Lebanon multiple times recently and have contacts there. So we're going to continue to report on that, but you can find that that story on AFP, armedforces.press. Here's the USAA story that H-1B visas and diversity destroyed a once great patriotic company. A lot of information there that you can read yourself. I just wanted to point that out to you. And then the Manhattan bestsellers list we've talked about many, many times. It's our answer to the New York Times bestsellers list. It's on our business paper, the Manhattan, our New York paper, and the Manhattan.press. Top menu, you can find the Manhattan bestsellers list there and just find out the best-selling books, period, in the country each week. It's updated weekly. You can also buy all your books there, or any of the books mentioned from the CDM bookstore. So don't go to, that's an easy way you can help free media is buy your books from us through our CDM bookshop on the Manhattan bestsellers list or on the menu on cdm.press, and you can help us. So thank you for that. Also, speaking of books, great book if someone who loves geopolitics is my book, Paying the Price, The Untold Story of the Iranian Resistance, how we can bring down the regime in Iran that is sponsoring all this terror all over the world without a war, and do it from the inside, the cheap way. Also, last thing but not least, this is a silver round. You can get these at Advisor Metals. If you go to cdmmetals.com, talk to the team at Advisor Metals, go to cdmmetals.com, fill out the form. They'll contact you. I promise you it'll be an easy conversation. They're not high salesmen, but it'll help you. And if you want to do business, great. But this is something you may want to for barter. It's a round of silver, and depending on the price of silver, you can buy food with it, whatever, if the grid goes down, because who the heck knows what's coming our way, ladies and gentlemen. So with that, we're going to close the show. We'll be traveling tomorrow. We'll be getting ready for this conference in Austin. So I likely won't have a SCIF tomorrow live. We may do a rerun, but we'll try to do a rerun at least. But I'll be traveling to Austin, Texas if you're in Austin Saturday, I'll be there Saturday for sure, maybe Sunday. Come by and say hello at the Children's Health Defense Conference that we're sponsoring, CDM as a sponsor of. Thank you. Got it all out. We'll see you maybe tomorrow. We'll see you Saturday live on cdm.press from the conference with CHD. And then we have the Georgia show on Sunday at 2, and then I'll be back live 10 a.m. Monday on the SCIF. Thank you.